Don't you love it when back to school time comes around and everyone's so excited about having a routine again and a schedule, some organized chaos? Yeah, me too. I love that. But you know who doesn't always love that? My children. And so in this video, I am going to talk to you about the tips and tricks that I have found that have really helped me to get my kids, I wouldn't say excited about school, but definitely tolerant of school, more prepared, feeling more adjusted, and I hope these tips will help you too if you have a kid that's a little resistant to returning to school this year. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Julie. I'm an occupational therapist and a mom of 3 little ones, and this year we had a new home, a new state, a new neighborhood, and a new school for our 2 older children. And it wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be. So I'm going to share my best tips and tricks. I hope you will come along for the ride. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and let's jump right in. Today's question, leave it in the comments, is did you enjoy going back to school, or were you one of those children that wanted summer never to end? I really liked the idea of a fresh start when it came to a new school year, especially all the stationery, oh my gosh, that was the best part for me. New notebooks and pens and pencil cases, all that good stuff. I want the same for your kids, to feel excited about this fresh start. So here are ways to set you up for success. Number 1 is your mindset around your child starting school. This is something that you kind of need to have a little talk with yourself. For us, going to school is not negotiable. You need to go to school unless you are sick. We want to make sure that the language that we use around school, energy that we bring to school, is not hyper-focused on going to school, but it's also highlighting the importance and the positives that school can give you. So knowing inside that school is going to happen no matter what helps you set that firm boundary, first for yourself when your child is resistant towards it and fighting up against it, and also for your child, because they know that day after day after day you're going to stick to your guns, you're not going to falter on this. Just like the analogy of strapping your child into a car, that's not negotiable. You always put them in a car seat, you always strap them, and only then can the car actually go. Alongside your mindset is how you convey this to your kids, so the language that you use around school. I try and be mindful about what I say with regards to how hard or difficult or scary school may be. If your child is voicing that, then you can talk about that. Focus on the positives when it comes to school. So the way that I think about school is that ultimately this is an opportunity for you to develop skills and to cultivate interests, to make friends, to have a lot of fun, especially in those early years when kids really want to play and be with their friends. You want to highlight this aspect because school is very social and does have a lot of opportunities for our children that we may not be able to provide them when they're staying at home with us. When they come home and they tell you something about how their teacher said this or a friend said this to them, you want to highlight all those positive things. You don't want to ignore anything negative that comes up, but you want to reframe it. So if a little girl or boy didn't talk to your child today and that made them upset, you let them say those things out loud, you let them express them to you. Often that is sufficient to make them feel heard and seen. Or maybe you reframe it, like saying, well, not everybody wants to play that thing every day. Perhaps you can try again another day. And, you know, as life goes on, they will realize that not everyone is for them and not everyone is going to want to play with them, and that's okay. I found, especially in the early weeks of school, I tried to really reinforce the positive things about him going to school with positive affirmations, such as, wow, you were so brave going to school. You did such a great job. I know that it was a little tricky in the morning. You really showed me how you could weather this storm, or something like that. You're showing them how they have this inbuilt resilience, and that is a really great skill for them to cultivate as they get older. Number 3, well, let's get into the practicalities of how we can make this run smoother. And basically it's one word, and that is routine. Routine, routine, routine. And here's the thing, the way that I see it. Little kids have so little control and autonomy over their lives most of the time, right? We tell them where to go. We inherently help them with their friends because we hang out with our friends who have children. There's a lot of decisions that are just made up for them. We decide what vacations to go to. We decide decide where to live, all of these things, and they can feel very out of control. And school is something that they know we really want them to do, and it is somewhere where they can assert their dominance, assert their autonomy. And it's difficult because school, as I said, is not a negotiable. You have to go to school in some shape or form. We have to try and figure out how we can make it easier for them. There are certain things that they can have control over, and other things that unfortunately at this age they're just not in control of in their life. When you have a solid routine and your child knows what to expect, it's just less for them to feel uncertain about, less for them to feel out of control, because they know that A is going to go to B, is going to go to C every single morning, every single night. If you want me to do our back to school morning routine or bedtime routine for school time, let me know in the comments and I can definitely make that video for you, because I think having a solid routine has definitely been key to our success at getting our children to be happier going to school. Number 4, and this we learned the hard way, but that is having an early night before school. And not just one night, it's consistently having that early night. We found with my son that when he felt rushed in the mornings, he did not want to go to school. He would resist at every juncture that he could. Like, he wouldn't want to put on his clothes. He wouldn't want to eat his breakfast. He wouldn't want to put on his shoes. He wouldn't want to get in the car. And part of that was because he is someone that needs to wake up slowly, and he needs to have playtime before school so that he can feel like he spent some time at home. We also have a new baby, and he really loves spending time with her. And one of the things that he was saying about school that he didn't like was that he didn't get to see the baby. So we kind of wake him up, if he hasn't woken up naturally, probably an hour to an hour and a half before we need to leave for school, so that he has time to just hang out with us in the morning in his pajamas. He doesn't have to feel rushed to eat his breakfast. Often you don't feel like eating breakfast first thing in the morning. He can kind of ease into his day. I often joke that as an adult, he's going to be the guy that needs to wake up 2 hours before to do his morning routine, his morning meditation, write in his journal, drink his drip coffee, all that good stuff. So number 5, whenever starting a new habit and getting back into a school routine is a habit that you have to either re-energize or start from scratch, there is an incentive linked to a good habit. This is not bribery. I don't want you to be thinking that I'm saying go and you'll pay your kid $100 and they'll go to school. No, this is something along the lines of looking forward to something, a reward for doing something that's harder for you or that you anticipate to be difficult. For example, my son, since having my 3rd child, we don't get a lot of one-on-one time, understandably. And something that he really likes is for us to spend time together. So for my son, at the end of the week, I said to him, how about we go out just for a mommy and me kind of time? We're gonna go have something to eat. We might go to a park. He's gonna choose what we eat, where we go, all that kind of stuff to bring in some of that control. And this way he has something to look forward to. You could do this with going on vacation. Perhaps you go to a special kids exhibition or something that's a little bit out of the ordinary. You build a Lego tower or something together. So you have to think of things, you know your child, what would really motivate them. I use this technique of an incentive for my next point, which is to break the spell. So this is something, a little phrase that I use when my kids are having a tantrum, a meltdown, and they are kind of unconsolable. During this time, they're in a little state, a trance, if you will, and they're freaking out and nothing we can do will get through to them. This is something where you have to let them kind of have this tantrum or whatever, but you're torn because you need to get them to school, right? They can't be late for school. I call it breaking the spell. When you notice a kind of a gap in the meltdown of your kids, you have to think of ways that you can kind of get their attention to get them out of this state. Now, we're not ignoring their feelings, we're not letting them not express themselves, but we're trying to tap into this little bubble of hurt and distress that they have created so that they can come out of it. Whatever you need to do to break the spell for your child, that's going to help them calm down and help you get them to be more on board with putting on their shoes or letting you do their hair or brushing their teeth, whatever it is that you need to get the school bus moving. And number 7, perhaps the most important one, consistency. And I've alluded to this throughout this video. You need to be very consistent with how you approach school. I just noticed throughout my years as a parent, when I wave the boundary or I change the rules on them, or they convince me that I should buy them this or do this against my better judgment, I always regret it. And so you need to be consistent. And that's why routine is really important. Language around school is really important. But doing the same kind of thing every morning so that they know what to expect consistently. And we build up on that. And you might have some not so great days with school, especially as I said, my son is the case of the Mondays, as it's called. And he does not want to go to school as much on a Monday or after a long weekend or after a vacation. And it's hard for him because school is now a long day. He's in first grade, but he's enjoying it and he gets a lot out of it, and it really builds his self-esteem to do hard things. And so I know it's the right thing for him right now. But with consistency, you make sure that you show up every single day. My husband and I quickly realized that we needed to wake up before the kids so that we could get ourselves ready. We can keep that consistency for ourselves so that every morning they wake up, we're not rushed, we're not stressed, and we're able to get them out the door on time. Now, it doesn't always work, right? But that's why your habits and your routines are there to fall back on. So you can kind of do these things on autopilot. Your kids get to learn the routine, and everyone is so much happier. So these are things that have really worked with us. If I could even just tell you how difficult, especially the second week of school for us was, it was really not pretty, and how we've come so far in not that long. We've made huge leaps and bounds with our kids, from when we were going through a really tough time with getting them to school, staying at school, all this kind of stuff, to enjoying school, expecting to go in the morning, not really putting up a fight, but being happy to go. And it's really, really because of these things that we've implemented. So if you're having a child that's struggling to do anything, but especially with school, make sure you're using good language around it, positive affirmations, perhaps you're putting in an incentive if you need it, and make sure that your habits and routines are rock solid. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Share it with anyone who might have kids going back to school and who might need some extra tips and tricks. And I can't wait to see you in my next one.